Google's geofence. Put your suspect at the scene of the crime. When law enforcement are lacking leads and a case seems unsolvable, a geofence warrant may be the only solution. Reverse location warrants are what police would use to find out this information. So how does a geofence warrant work? A geofence warrant is a legal order obtained by law enforcement to collect data from electronic devices within a specific geographical area during a particular time frame. It allows investigators to acquire information such as GPS coordinates, timestamps, and other relevant data from mobile devices, wearables, or any connected devices that may be present within the designated area. The process begins by establishing a virtual perimeter, known as a geofence, using GPS coordinates. The warrant specifies the area and time period during which data will be collected. When the geofence process is complete, a phone that was found in the location may be identified and possibly would be your suspect. So this is like a multi-phase warrant process. So with these geofence warrants, they collect a massive amount of data on just anybody who's going in that general area. And so by segmenting the warrant process into distinct phases, the privacy of unrelated people can be protected in theory. When devices within the geofence are identified by Google, they are assigned an anonymous identifier. So in phase 1, you are going to create initial search area is the first phase of the warrant and identifies the locations to be searched. It is recommended to have more than one location if possible, so they can look for devices that are common to both. The narrower the window of time, the better. Then phase 2 would be movement information. Next comes the mapping of record returns from Google. Several devices will be sent to you using anonymized IDs. The investigator would select which devices they believe are relevant and draft a new warrant requesting location data for those specific devices for a period before and after the initial search. This allows investigators to see how the phone came into their crime scene and where they went afterwards. After they do that, phase 3 is device unmasking. After they map the phase 2 records returns, they get a better picture of the location activity for each specific device. So the movement information may show that a device momentarily passed nearby the crime scene and continued on their way, or the movement information could show that a phone enters the crime scene and lingers for an unusual amount of time. The investigator would likely discard anonymized IDs for the phones from phase 1 and 2. Their next warrant on phase 3. Request that Google unmasks the anonymized device. And for those specified devices, Google will provide basic subscriber information such as name, email address, and device identifier. So what are the benefits of this kind of warrant? Enhancing investigation efficiency. Geofence warrants can significantly expedite investigations by allowing law enforcement to focus on individuals who are present within a specific area during a particular time frame. The targeted approach helps narrow down suspects and potentially leads to faster resolution of cases. Geofencing provides investigators with access to critical device location and movement patterns. This evidence can strengthen criminal cases, verify alibis, establish connections between suspects, and unravel intricate criminal networks of last resort. Geofence warrants are primarily used when all other leads are exhausted. They serve as a digital witness to the crime, possibly identifying involved persons. Knowing how that phone came into a crime scene and where it traveled to after may be the break in the case that law enforcement never would have had without the geofence. Disadvantages of geofencing. Privacy concerns. They can definitely bring in innocent parties. A mobile phone located within a crime scene likely belongs to one of 3 categories of persons: suspects, victims, or witnesses. False positives. Geofence warrants are not foolproof and can generate false positives, identifying innocent individuals in criminal investigations. False positives could be due to poor location accuracy reporting by a mobile phone, or the device connection to Wi-Fi instead of mobile data, GPS coordinate reporting. Other thing that could happen with geofencing is it could create like a false alibi. So say someone left their phone at home. Somebody left their phone in their friend's car, and so it appears that they stop real quick and keep going and never getting out like at the crime scene, when actually they just left their phone in somebody's car, and that car travels around and ends up back at the crime scene. That could be like deceiving for an alibi. Another thing would be like if the person doesn't have a phone, they don't have like a Google account, and keep contact of like what signals you interact with, whether you actually like connect Wi-Fi or not. Just that your phone saw it for a second, and it like if you would open your thing, it would come up as an option to connect to. Google can see that. They can like really narrow in on exactly a person is at any given point in time, even if their location is off, because they can also like say Google is your browser. Location's off, they still know where you're at. If you just like pass by somebody and they know where that person's at, once you interact with that person's phone passes by and sees that point, that's all mapping where you're at. And they also can see like how far away you are from that signal, so it can measure like the signal strength and really just like pinpoint exactly where people are at. But even like your apps and stuff interact with all this information that Google collects. They really do know a lot of stuff about you. And so to end, I thought I would just show you guys some examples of when location data got things wrong.
In 2013, stranger after stranger showed up at this house. What do they want?
It is saying that this phone is at your house.
I lost my cell phone and I clicked find my phone and it said it was at this address.
My brother's phone was lost and the last ping location was right here.
They all lost their iPhones.
Hi.
Maybe you found a phone?
And the Find My app informed them that their device was at this Houston, Texas house.
It's pulling up this address.
One big problem. The phones were not in Scott Schuster's house.
And yet, it still showed my address. So it's just really bizarre.
The cops are on their way over here, so you may want to come talk to me before they come here.
I have never been threatened yet. Yet's the part that scares me.
Scott had a theory about why this was happening.
My home used to be a model home for this neighborhood. So somewhere in some database, that address lives for this neighborhood. And I feel like if it pings in my neighborhood and they can't tie it to a specific address, it falls back to my address.
This phone is at your house.
Dramatic video from 2023 showed a SWAT team raid. Cops in gas masks searched a home from top to bottom. With guns drawn, they searched every room looking for a murder suspect. But there was a major problem. The cops got the wrong house. Amy Hadley told Les Trent they completely ransacked her house.
They destroyed the whole house.
Cops were tracking the suspect by his Facebook account and were told by an internet provider that he was using a device inside the house. So they surrounded the property. Using a bullhorn, they ordered everyone outside.
Somebody's walking out.
Amy's 15-year-old son came out with his hands up.
Hands up!
Listen to what one cop said.
That's not him.
His mom came home to find the property taped off. She and her daughter tried their best to tell cops they made a mistake.
That's not the right house!
She says the cops launched dozens of tear gas grenades in the house. She also said they shattered windows, punched holes in the walls, ransacked furniture and closets, and left the home a mess.
There was glass in the beds. We couldn't even sleep in our house. My son and I had to sleep outside. The tear gas was that bad.
It was a nightmare for this family in 2020 when cops burst into their home, which turned out to be the wrong address. And the homeowner was a retired police officer.
To me, it was terrifying.
Luis Rodriguez, his wife, and 2 kids were home in Houston. He heard deputies bang on the door and yell out that they were looking for somebody named Curtis.
And there's no Curtis Rogers that lives in this house. Sir, you have the wrong house.
Up to the time when they were coming through the door, I still wasn't sure that these guys were police officers.
I don't think you should open it. Yeah, they're busting up. You got the wrong house.
Rodriguez and his son were ordered outside. Rodriguez says he was left with a bruise on his arm.
I was afraid that they might discharge a firearm inside of my house and possibly, injure or kill someone.
I thought somebody was trying to break into our house.
I told you at the door there was no such person here.
It doesn't work like that. Everybody, everywhere we go says he ain't here.
The sheriff's office regrets the mistake and the incident is under review.
We hadn't done anything wrong. This was the last thing a family expects to happen to them in their own home.
You got the wrong house.
Okay, so thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this one explained things a little bit better than the video I made yesterday. Please feel free to leave your comments below. I was thinking maybe that's why they didn't turn over those phones, is because they got further data and figured out that they didn't have anything to do with the case. Or also, I just feel like maybe the investigators on this case were kind of like rookies and they don't really understand all the intricacies of a complex investigation, and instead of bringing in experts, they thought they could do everything on their own, and they didn't necessarily understand what was going on and maybe did a kind of a sloppy job of investigating. And I don't want to think that, but there's been multiple cases where this is proving to be true. And so I just want to know what you guys' opinion is on things, and how you guys would feel if somebody just busted into your house like that. Like, that's crazy. Okay, thanks. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Bye.